and overseeing a lot of our partnerships as well. So smart sites being one of those. So yeah, today's really just like a quick refresher about Smith.ai. If you already have exposure to what we do and who we are, and for those of you that are possibly new, this will just be good for you to understand, what we do. So let me share my screen and we can get going. Cool. So yeah, I'll start just kind of like a high level overview. So we've been around for just about a decade. Actually, in fact, next month will be 10 years for us operating as Smith.ai. And so we consider ourselves a what's called a customer engagement platform. Just really allows, clients to be able to connect with their customers or their clients 24/7. We offer 3 core services. Our first is our virtual receptionist services. So basically call handling for businesses. We also offer a live chat. And most recently, we started offering what's called our outreach campaigns, which is more of a kind of an outbound sales, outbound marketing motion to respond to leads or to do, I wouldn't say cold calling, but in a sense, cold calling to leads that you would have out there. Couple interesting facts. We answer about 80,000 calls per week. And that would be a combination of incoming calls and outgoing calls. So very high volume, high amount of calls. We have close to 1,000 agents now that are all spread across North America. Most folks are based in the States. And we have a small group in Mexico, and that's why I say North America, for a dedicated Spanish-speaking line. We have a very, very low error rate. We're leveraging AI as opposed to a script-based call handling, so that allows us to have very efficient call handling, very professional conversations. And in fact, for the first, I would say 4 or 5 years of us operating, we exclusively did call handling just for legal professionals. So just law firms. And in fact, you guys use our service as well for your virtual receptionist. So yeah, I mean, I guess like, why does this really matter, and like why this is important to clients? Really, it just boils down to, missing calls means missing businesses. 80% of consumers, or a little bit more than 80% of consumers, they expect an immediate response. So most people, if they call and they don't get an answer, they're not leaving a voicemail. Typically, they're not calling back, and they're just moving on to the next business. About 70% of people, they end up doing business with the first company that either responds to their inquiry or that they can get a hold of. And I think this last stat is probably the one that's most like relevant to your business. Is about half of lead generation budgets are wasted because leads are either not contacted, or businesses don't have the bandwidth to actually answer those calls or capture those inbound leads that are coming in. And so, I mean, there's a lot of reasons like why this is happening. But what we hear a lot, especially nowadays, is that businesses just don't have enough resources. I have not on my partner conversations, but a lot of my like conversations directly to clients. Staffing challenges are like huge right now. It's hard to keep people in seats. We're truly a 24/7, 365 service. So we're able to have coverage on nights, on weekends, because we have such a large pool of agents. Technically, there isn't PTO, there isn't time off. We're legitimately on the clock 24/7. So we're able to capture all that business where hiring someone in-house to do that is very difficult. Also, robocalls, spam calls, it's increasing a lot more. And so while it's important to make sure you answer every single call, there's a lot of noise that's happening as well. And that takes away from, businesses being able to operate. And so that's really where we come into play, right? We have that coverage. We have the ability to filter out all those spam calls. And we can truly cover businesses, again, 24/7, 365. So yeah, so I mean, like, I guess how this works. So we're a hybrid model. We're using the agents that I mentioned before. They're all North America based. They're all very professional, mostly native English speaking individuals. So we have a high quality agent pool, and they're being guided in real time by the AI. So you're really getting the best of both worlds. The AI is taking away all of the guesswork on what the agents have to say and do. And so in real time, the AI is prompting the agents on how to open up the conversation and greet the callers, what specific questions they need to ask, what information they need to gather. All of those instructions are custom tailored to each specific business. And in real time, the AI is guiding that conversation based upon what the caller is asking for or how that conversation is going. So again, you're getting this very, consistent professional conversation because the AI is taking all the guesswork out of what the agent needs to say and do. And then we're just delivering that with a professional agent. So you're getting a good client or customer experience as well. And then, in terms of how we're structured, we're very flexible on how we structure our services. We don't require any sort of agreements. We're truly a month-to-month business. We feel, we're really good at what we do, and if companies want to continue to partner with us, they'll our work will show, and they'll just continue to partner with us. So no agreements, no setup fees, truly month to month. We price out by the call, which is a little bit different than some of the other virtual receptionist services out there. So each call has a flat rate that's associated with it. Our base package starts at 30 calls per month, and then it can scale up from there. At 30 calls per month, the rate per call is $9.50 per call. And as you scale up, the price per call decreases. So we do have some clients that are, closer to $3 or $4 per conversation. And then there's a lot we can do on the calls as well. So, we're not just answering calls, taking messages. We're able to do a full, lead qualification. We can do intake. We can take payments, whether that's for consultations or appointments. And we have a number of integrations as well. So, if clients are using, CRM systems or, other marketing tools, scheduling platforms, we play nice with a lot of tools out there. These are some of our native integrations that we have. And then we work really well with Zapier as well as Make. So if there isn't some sort of native integration, our tech team can kind of build our own connection to a lot of the tools out there. Yeah, I mean, and then at the end of the day, this just really helps your clients, win more business, gives them, the ability to do more with less. So instead of, again, going back to, the staffing challenges, instead of increasing headcount, they can, lean on technology and help get that coverage that they need. And then really why this is important for everyone sitting here in the room, I think it goes back to that stat on the second slide that I had is, folks spend a lot of time, money, and resources with companies like Smart Sites to help drive engagement, to help drive leads. And a lot of that falls flat if the companies don't have any sort of coverage or resources to capture all of that inbound interest. And so that helps you, one, just, keep your clients happy, make sure that the work that you guys are doing and all the leads that you guys are helping generate for those companies are actually being captured. And then the way that we partner with you, it's the ability for you guys to have, other ways of getting revenue. We're really flexible in the way we structure our partnerships. We have the ability to just get a referral and have clients manage their own billing and their own accounts, or you guys can bake it into your services and your packages as well. So we're really flexible on how that looks. I think the last thing that I want to put here is just, some information on how you guys can, get Smith in front of your clients. So you guys actually have a partner landing page that lives on our website, and I dropped that link here for you guys to see. We're actually doing some updates with resources, and so we will be updating that landing page. So that's going to be coming soon. You can always do an introduction to myself, and so I have my email listed here as well. Again, we're super flexible on what this relationship looks like. So I have some partners where they're like, hey, David, I don't want to sell Smith at all. If someone's slightly interested, I'm just going to send you an email, introduction, and then I'll let you take it from there. Or we can partner together. We can jump on a call together, and we can kind of, tackle that hand in hand, if you will. And then, with some of our partners, they're baking it into their services, into their packages. So they're completely selling it on their own. And we can set up almost like an onboarding process, specifically for those type of scenarios where, it's full hands-on on your side. And then I also dropped in my Calendly link here as well. So you do have the ability to offer this to clients to schedule consultations directly on our calendar. If you just want to, do an introduction and let us take it from there. Well, that's what I have, a high-level overview. If there's any questions, be happy to answer any questions. Yeah, Connor.
I know you mentioned at the beginning it's charging per phone calls. I think the minimum package was 30. If you guys are, am I on mute? No.
No, I can hear you.
Okay. How do you guys qualify if it's like a spam call or something? Like, does that qualify as a call that you guys charge for? Like, is it if you guys answer the phone, they get charged, or how does that work?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So any sort of call that isn't business related. So if we determine it is a sales call, it's another vendor trying to sell a service or a product, we'll still gather the information, who they are, what's the nature of their call. We'll even pass that information to the client to let them know who called. But then we, by default, will block that caller so that call doesn't come in, not only for that particular business, but for any other business that we're working with as well. And then we do not charge for those type of calls. I didn't mention before, we also provide a dashboard for, basically insights into all of the calls that we're handling. There is a section on there that shows all of the spam calls, and you do have the ability to unblock a spam call if you choose to do business with them in the future. But yeah, that was a good question. Also, wrong number calls do not get charged as well. So if someone is attempting to reach a business and somehow, they come across our agents, we'll mark that as a wrong number, and you won't get charged for that as well. Speaking of volume too, I think it's worth mentioning that. So we are a month-to-month business. We do charge by the call. We work kind of like an old school cell phone plan, if you will, where you pay in the beginning of the month, you have a set amount of calls for your quota, if you will. If you go beyond your quota, we'll still continue to take calls, there's just a small overage rate on top of what your normal rate would be. So if we go back to that 30 call example, $9.50 is what the normal rate would be. It'd be $10.50 if we go to call 31 or call 32. You can always make changes though, month over month for the following billing cycles, as long as you give notice. Typically we like a 7-day notice, but anytime before that next billing cycle, we can always make that change. And then in the first month, we can true you up on the first month. So, a lot of businesses, they're like, I don't really know what my call volume is. I think I get maybe 10 calls a day, but they're a little bit unsure. You can place them on a package. We're going to be monitoring the call volume week over week. So at the end of that month, we can right size them and make sure that they're on the, on their appropriate plan. All right, so I see some stuff in the chat here too. So Matthew said, if you're ever pitching Smith to a prospect, what's that been hours? Okay. Do we, Cassandra, we don't have a case study for you guys, do you?
I'm not sure if we have like a mutual client case study. We do have a couple of mutual clients, and we did do a webinar with one of them back in March.
Okay.
So that could be easily converted into a case study if we wanted to get one created.
Okay.
But I think Matthew was just saying like one of our case studies could be added to the description, just or like a high level, like on the partner page, like if possible. I don't know how that works because I think we created that landing page last year, and I think it was with somebody from the marketing team. So I'd have to go and see. Yeah, I have to go back and see if we could get like a blurb added. But yeah, or maybe even a video, a link to that YouTube video of our webinar with Honey Dooman.
Yeah, no, we're making a lot of changes to what's on the site specifically around partners. So
Cool.
I'll pass it along to Jessica and see if we can get something for you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that would be cool. I guess like another question I'd have about like the sales, because I know I'm pretty familiar with like the virtual reception part since we use it at Smart Sites. And I get the emails with like the description about the calls and stuff, which is really cool. But what can you like go more into like the sales part of it? Like, do you guys have like people that are making those like cold call and like outreach? Like, do you have like team, like how big is the team and how does that work?
Yeah, so we have a group that's dedicated to our outreach campaigns. I think we have a couple hundred folks that are dedicated to that team, and they're typically more seasoned reps who have been agents for usually like over a year because they just have to have a higher level of professionalism, if you will. So what the outreach campaigns is, it's typically responding to inbound web form leads. So it's really a speed to lead type of play. So a lot of businesses will either have a form on their website, or if they're doing any sort of marketing on Facebook or Instagram, they'll drive traffic to a landing page, and then from there, call to action is for customer to fill out information. We're able to capture that lead and typically trigger an outbound phone call within about a minute of someone filling out a form. And then from there, we do a multi-touch approach. And so it's up to 15 touch points on that particular lead, usually over the course of 2 to 4 weeks. So it's a combination of 5 phone calls, 5 text messages, and 5 emails. And again, that's all custom tailored to the specific business, specific client. And those workflows are also guided by AI as well. So in real time, when the agent is making that outbound call, they'll have information on services offered, objection handling, So in real time, when they're having that conversation, they're able to have a conversation towards converting that into an actual lead. And typically for those type of campaigns, they're usually around either setting an appointment, setting up some sort of consultation. And a lot of times those are either event based or like offer based, if you will. So some companies will have, a driving registration towards a conference, or they're having a sale or some sort of special. So we're reaching out specifically around that, again, to try to convert those leads. Matthew, I see you have a question.
Yeah. Also for the outbound one, or just like a use case for smart sites. So for example, we do 95+% inbound for our leads. But one thing we also do is semi outbound-ish. Once a month, the sales team calls older prospects from 2020, 2021, 2022 that haven't had a touch base in quite a long time. So those are smart size prospects, but they are, much, much colder than someone who came in a day or an hour earlier. Would Clutch have a use case? Not Clutch. Would Smith have a use case for something like that, where you connected with old prospects of ours to try and set up discovery calls and say like, hey, it's been 3 years since you spoke to Smart Sites, but I want to re-engage and see if you have had any interest?
Yeah, we would certainly do that. I think the only thing that we don't do is completely cold. We want to make sure that there's some sort of, established relationship. So in that case, they would be familiar with Smart Sites, and so we could have a conversation. I think we see that a lot in the home services space, where like a HVAC service, someone had a service about a year ago, and then there's a campaign for us to reach back out to those folks and try to schedule a consultation. So not the exact same scenario, but pretty similar. So yeah, we would certainly entertain that, and we've done that in the past.
Cool. I'd love to talk about that maybe sometime next week to see if we can do a pilot or something.
Okay, certainly.
So as far as like ideal clients, I know like the top verticals would be home services, legal, and like B2B. Are there any others that we're missing?
We do a fair amount of wellness also, not necessarily healthcare, because we actually aren't HIPAA compliant. So we can't really gather, that type of information on the calls. But we see a lot of like chiropractors. We see a lot of spas and things of that nature. We have a number of integrations for some of the kind of like CRM / scheduling tools in that space. So one that comes to mind is Jane. A lot of like spas will use Jane, and so we have a fair amount of clients in that space as well.
Awesome. And any client criteria or not really? Because I know you guys work with like a lot of smaller businesses too. But just wanted to know if there's like any criteria to look out for.
No, not really. I think our sweet spot though really is that small to mid-size business. And then I would definitely say a smaller to medium-sized business in terms of head count, but not necessarily revenue. I think that's why we work really well with law firms, is they don't necessarily have a large amount of staff on hand, but their quote unquote ticket item, which is a case, could be a couple $100,000. I think that's the way we work well with home services as well. Their services can cost quite a lot, and so it's really important for them to make sure that they're responding to all those leads and answering all those calls. I would steer away from anything that has a very low like ticket price, where you can afford to, I guess, not answer every single call. Yeah. Was there another question or?
I don't think so. Awesome. Well, this has been great. I took a few notes and updated our internal directory, so all this information will be there as well. But yeah, if there's no other questions, I guess we can. Did you want to cover anything else, David? Like demo or anything like that?
No, I think what I'll do though is I'll send you a copy of this slide deck so that you have that on file.
Awesome.
I also have some updated like one pagers that I can send your way as well, so that everyone can have those on hand. And then I think the only thing that I want to mention is, or I guess there's two things. We're working on some incentives to kind of, encourage partners to, to send more referrals. And so I think we're going to be doing some sort of like spiff or some sort of incentive in addition to what like that normal payout is to kind of encourage that. And so I'll have more information on that soon. And then you guys have a 10% discount that's just standard for any of your clients that you refer over. We're opening up our normal promotions to you as well. So I'll make sure to give you those either quarterly or monthly promotions that you guys can take advantage of as well. So one that we're doing right now, which is I've actually never seen us do this before, but through the end of this month, we're offering 25% off of our services, and that's a lifetime discount. So that stays on the account forever. So that's a pretty great discount and usually our discounts fall off after a few months. So it's a pretty good one. So I'll make sure to pass that information along to you as well. Yeah, I think that's all I have. But I appreciate you guys all taking the time to meet with me today. Glad we were able to chat. My contact information's there, so feel free to reach out whenever you need. Yeah, and really excited about this partnership, continuing to go.
Thank you so much, David. Great job on the presentation. We really appreciate the time, and hope everybody has a great weekend. Thanks again.
Have a great Friday. Have a great weekend.